What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Justin, the barber instructor brewer, and we're back with another video. For the most part, we're doing a bald fade tutorial, and right now you're gonna want to focus on your client consultation. And during your client consultation, this is the best time to get to know your client, ask them how they want their haircut, etc. Alright, so right now we're at step 2. And right now you're gonna want to focus on brushing the hair or combing the hair, etc. You're gonna want to comb through the hair and make sure there's not any sores or anything that can hinder you from cutting your client's hair, anything in particular. So it's step 3, you're gonna want to correct your guidelines, and you're gonna want to correct your guidelines to set around your whole head to correct your foundation for your haircut. Your guidelines are very essential when you're doing your haircut. This gives you a good sense of direction and a good sense of, so you can just know where you're going during your haircut. You don't want to just set these haircuts and don't have no sort of direction. Just gotta say this one time, Gorilla Phase family, I'm gonna give you guys as much detail as possible in my videos. Just continue to rock with me, man. Be patient with me, man, and just get used to my teaching, man, and let me get used to teaching you. And for the most part, just bear with me, man. Take your time, and I'm gonna teach you as much as everything that I know. Yeah, man, by the way, man, I know I'm like in the middle of the haircut, man, but for the most part, I'm using my gold magic clips, man. I forgot to shout my clippers out, man. I'm using the gold wall magic clip. These are some of the best clippers on the market. All right, family, when you're setting these guidelines, you just want to make sure everything's precise. You want to make sure your foundation is clean around the line area, like the bald area and stuff. You just want to make sure all that is clean as you go. I mean, it'll save you a lot of time. But like I said, for the most part, you just want to make sure your guidelines on both sides are just naturally even, and you don't want to overdo them. All right, family, it's step 4, and we're gonna set our second guideline, but this time we're gonna use our one guard, and I got the one guard all the way open, and I'm just stretching that second line, and I'm just hitting that second line and just trying to stretch it. I'm gonna come back behind it also in my next step with, like, I think a 1-5 guard. But for the most part, you just want to set your second guideline all the way around, the same thing that you did as the first guideline. All right, family, so I still have my one guard, and I'm just making sure everything is nice and even all the way around, trying to make sure everything is cleaned up before I do my next step. All right, so we at step 5, and I'm using my half guard to blend all the way through. And with the half guard, you just want to blend as much possible. You're going to debulk everything that you hit with the one guard all the way around, and you want to do the same thing that you did at the first 2 steps, and you just want to blend all the way around and just knock all that weight down into the second line. All right, family, using this guard is very critical, man. Is most definitely needed when you're doing fades or tapers or anything in that nature. It's good to help debulk and stretch your blends as much as possible. And you just, like I said, man, you just want to go all the way around, like from the first 2 steps, and just do them repeatedly with this guard as well, and you just want to debulk as much as possible. Right now I put my one guard back on, and I'm just going back around, and I'm just re-hitting that second line and just trying to make it blend in into the bottom line. And basically I'm just trying to stretch that blend and give it that pop. You just want to, when you're detailing your work, man, you just want to take your time, man. Don't rush this stuff, man. Just be patient with it, man, and be one with your clippers, man. family, right now it's step 6 and I'm using my 0 guard, and I'm gonna be attacking those middle 2 lines, that bottom line and that middle line. And you basically just gonna want to remove that line of demarcation with this guard, and you can use this guard to basically clean up your blends and, you know, just go back and touch up everything that you missed with your 1 guard and your half guard. All right, family, man, I just want to let you know, man, patience is very critical, man, when you're doing these fades, man. You got to be patient with yourself. Don't rush through this stuff, man. Just let it flow, man. You got to be one with your clippers. You got to be one with the fade, man. And you just got to let it flow. Like, don't overdo it. Like, just let it flow. All right, so we made it to step 7, and we're going to blend with no guard. And this is very important. You're gonna want to blend with no guard and just eliminate everything, like everything. Like, all right, you see all those lines of demarcation just simply just disappearing. This is what your 0 guard is doing. You just want to eliminate everything that you missed, and just make sure everything is cleaned up and detailed, and make sure everything is very thorough before you move to your next step. Phase family, I just want to drop some wisdom, man. No matter what you do, man, just keep going, man. Haters gonna hate, man. Haters gonna talk about you and everything, man. I've been going through a lot lately too myself with this barbering industry, man. And I just want to say, man, no matter what comes against you, man, just keep going, man. I know times can be hard, and a lot of things can be, you know, can be unsettling in this industry, but at the same time, you just want to keep going, man. Don't let nothing stop you from greatness, and don't let nothing stop you from reaching your fullest potential. Phase family, details are everything. As you can see, I'm just going through and eliminate all lines of demarcation. You want your blends to be as clean as possible. You want your haircut to be as clean as possible. You want that fade to have a 3D look. You want that fade to pop out. So it's just, like I say, man, details are very essential when you're doing your haircut. But as of right now, I'm just scratching that blend and just making sure everything is nice and clean. Family, man, you gotta have the heart of a lion when you're doing these haircuts, man. Don't let nothing stop you. I'm gonna constantly scream that throughout my videos. Don't let nothing stop you, man. I started from the bottom with this, man. Like, I started in prison when I first started cutting hair. So I can say, like, man, from that 3-year span from down to then, man, things have been looking very up for me, man, and I'm just thankful God for that, man, you know. So don't let nothing stop you, man. Keep grinding, keep shining, man. Do what you gotta do to get where you're going. Family, it's step 8. This is one of my favorite steps, and it's clean your blend. And like I said, man, details are very essential, man. Clean your blends, man. Clean your blends, especially when you're doing these fades and tapers. That's the most important thing when you're doing a fade and tape, man. Just make sure that blend is everything. like to say a lineup is the most important part of a haircut, but I beg to disregard, and I gotta say that blend is everything, man. A blend is one of the most important part of a haircut. I had to throw that out there, man. Like, a blend is one of the most important steps of your haircut, so you just want to make sure your blend is up to par and top notch. All right, family, so I added step 9 in as far as, I called it detail your foundation, but I mean, it's pretty much the same thing as detailing your blend. But for the most part, you just want to go back and double check and make sure you hit everything. You want to go back and debulk the hair, knock down some of the spots that you didn't hit with the clippers. But for the most part, man, I just added this step in. I thought it would just be essential for you guys. So I most definitely recommend and highly recommend you guys to go back and make sure your work is highly cleaned and thorough before you just do anything else, man. Just take your time, man. Don't rush perfection, man. Family, is step 10, and right now we're going to be adding our wrap lotions or holding sprays. Me preferably, I like to use Wet n Wavy wrap lotion, or I'll use Gots to Be Glued holding spray. And your holding sprays pretty much just keep your hair firm and keep everything in place. And like I said before, man, your foundation is everything. So before I do my lineups, I like to put holding spray in. All right, family, it's step 11. You just want to basically take your blow dryer and just dry your hair. And you just want to lock in that holding spray, and you want to lock in that wrap lotion. You just want to make sure everything is pretty much just locked in. All right, family, it is step 12, and we're going to be focusing on our lineup. Your lineup is very important. Your lineup is one of the most important steps in the haircut, besides your blend. And when you're doing your lineups, you just basically want to start from the middle, and you want to go from the left to the right, or you want to go from the right to the left, whichever way that fits your preference. But for the most part, I like to start in the middle, and I just like to go from the left to the right. Pretty much the last steps got us prepped for this. That's why I say using your wrap lotions and using your holding sprays are very essential for you, because simple fact is keep the hair firmly in place and it makes your lineup super crispy. But before I like to even add my enhancements, I just like to make sure I have a good lineup, a good solid foundation before I even add my enhancements. So I like to make sure my lineups are nice and crispy before I do anything else. I like to make sure I put a good natural cut up under my enhancements, because you know a lot of people love to say, like, oh man, oh, you'll never cut natural, or a lot of barbers can't cut natural. Nah, that's cap, man. I like to cut natural before I even put a lick of enhancements on your hair. So for the most part, I like to make sure everything is nice and crispy before I move on. Family, it's step 13, and we're gonna line our beard up. For the most part, I'm using my patty cut liners. I didn't get a chance to shout them out earlier in this video, but I'm shouting them out now. I'm using my patty cut Babyliss Pro liners, and I'm just lining my beard. You want your beard to be just as crispy as your head lined up, and you just want to take your time and make sure everything is thorough. When I do my beards, I like to start in the middle of my beard, and I like to use that same concept as I use when my head lined up. I start from the middle, and I just go from side to side after that. It's step 14, and we're gonna focus on detailing our beard. We're just going back and just touching up everything that we missed. Make sure everything is nice and crisp. For the most part, like I always say, man, detail work is everything to me. So make sure you detail your work as you go, so it'll keep you from having to go back at the end of your haircut and have to do a lot of detail work at the end of your haircut. So I like to do a lot of detail work in the midst of me doing my work. But for the most part, just make sure your beard is nice and crispy, and just take your time. And haircuts can be very therapeutic for the barber and the client. For the client and the barber, once again, haircuts can be very therapeutic, man. So for the most part, man, just enjoy yourself, man. When you're working in this career field, just try your best to enjoy yourself, man. Love what you do, man. Continue to have passion for the things that you do. When you love what you do, you're gonna have passion for it. So for the most part, man, just stay in your bag, man. Stay at your feelings, man, and just keep grinding, man. And whatever's hindering you or whatever just holding you back, use that to motivate you to keep going. And see, man, check out that foundation, man. I left a good undercut, man, before I even add my enhancements. That fade is crispy. So now we're gonna move on to our next step. All right, family, it's step 15, and we're basically just gonna add our enhancements. You can get your card, you can get your old business card or anything in particular. But for the most part, when I'm using my enhancements, I don't like to add that much. I just like to use a little tap around the weak areas of the haircut, like it's line up or anything, or any areas that you feel like is thinning or anything in that nature. But for the most part, I don't like to add too much enhancements. Other than that, I like to create my own. I like to use Kiss Express. This is what I'm using in an airbrush gun, and I'm using Kiss Express in darkest brown mixed with 70% alcohol. Family, is step 16, and we're going to be adding our barber pencil. For the most part, I'm using the Black Ice Magic pencil, and I'm using the tan color. You can get these pencils at pretty much any hair store that sells them, but for the most part, you can order them off their website. But I like to use these magic pencils, man. They're the truth, man, and they're just basically concealers for the lineup, and they just basically highlight your lineup. A lot of people can use them wrong or just have a misconception on them. But I really feel like it just depends on the barber. But for the most part, when you're using these pencils, you just want to put just a thin line as possible. You don't want to make it too thick or too heavy, so it won't be hard to blend in. but for the most part, these pencils can be very reliable, man. Like, they can really help your haircut pop a little bit more, put a little bit more pizzazz to your haircut. But for the most part, they're just magic pencils. They're just concealers, man. You don't want to have the misdirection on them, man. Like I said, a lot of barbers can have a lot of misdirection on them and just kind of teach it, like, you know, how to use them wrong or just use it wrong in general. So, but for the most part, you just basically want to blend it into your lined up. You don't want to use it as a crutch. You just want to blend it into your lined up. Phase family, man, remember, man, consistency is key, man. Consistency is key, man. Keep going no matter what. Just keep going. Consistency is always key. Be consistent with your clients. Be consistent with your work. Be consistent with getting up in the morning to tackle this career each and every day, man. Consistency is key, man. Remember that. I'm using my patty cuts liners again, and I'm just gonna be blending the pencil, the Barber Magic pencil. I'm just gonna be blending that in. You don't wanna, like I said, you don't wanna leave that line chunky or heavy on your client. So the most part, you just wanna take your liners and just go over that line and just blend it into the natural lineup. Family, this is a pro tip, man. Like I said, throughout this whole entire video, your details are everything. Detail your work, man, so you won't have to keep going through and redetailing things throughout the end of the haircut. And this is just to save you a lot of time on a haircut. Detail your work, man. Make sure everything is clean. Make sure everything is precise. Just detail. I'm gonna scream that throughout my whole video when I'm doing the phase haircuts. Detail. All right, family. I thought this step would be pretty cool to add. It's step 18, which is your shear work. And you can use your shear work to detail your work. I'm just using to knock down the fuzz on the haircut and just detail my lineup, getting all the hairs and stuff off, loose hairs and stuff that's sticking up around the haircut and the beard, and around the fade. And I'm just using my shears to just clean up my work and make sure everything is top notch. All right, family, it's step 19, and we're going to be doing some razor work. A lot of barbers have been asking me to incorporate some razor work in my videos. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll do it in my next fade tutorial, which I'm doing it now. But as of right now, you just want to get your razor and you just want to make sure your lineup is crispy. As of right now, I'm just touching the skin a little bit. I'm pulling the skin and I'm just hitting the outside of my lineup and make sure everything is nice and crisp. As you're doing your razor lines, there's nothing wrong with you can do it dry or you can do it wet line, which is with the shaving cream. Or for the most part, I just like doing mine dry. I like doing dry lineups, but the razor lineups can be very essential. It's good for eliminating a lot of that chalky look with using the barber pencils. But for the most part, razor line can give you a good crispy lineup, and it's good for a finisher. All right, family, we made it to one of my favorite steps, and it's detailing your work, man. It's one of the final steps in your haircut, and it's what everything matters, man. This is where everything matters the most. You just want to get your clippers, which I'm using my gold magic clips, and you just want to go through and clean up everything that you miss. Just touch up your haircut, make sure your work is immaculate, make sure everything is perfect, and just make sure everything pops and stand out. Like I always say, detailing your work is everything. All right, family, we made it to the final step, which is observe your work, man. Look at that fade. That fade is pressure, man. Look at that. That blend is nice. But for the most part, you guys can follow me on IG, man. You guys can like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on IG at GorillaFaze_barbershop30. And I thank you guys for watching, man. Stay tuned.